Now, when we were putting this new type of Top Gear together, we made a decision. We would not squander the licence fee payers' money on airfares jetting off to the other side of the world to drive cars. We would wait for them to come to us. This was a hard and fast rule, and it would never be broken. I've come to Detroit, which in my defence is not exactly Saint-Tropez. God may have created the world in 6 days, but while he was resting on the 7th, Beelzebub popped up and did this place. Back in the 60s, Detroit was the home of Motown and Motor City. But the riots of '67 left it a deserted and shattered shell. So, I haven't come here for a holiday. I've come here for something even better. This is the new Ford GT. It's the first proper supercar ever made in America. It was built to celebrate Ford's 100th birthday. But there's a lot more to it than that. Back in '62, Ford tried to buy Ferrari, but at the last minute, Enzo pulled out of the deal. Henry Ford was livid and ordered his British division to build a car that would crush those pony-assed heaps of junk. This is the car that resulted. Called the GT40, it beat the Ferraris at Le Mans for 4 years on the trot. It transformed the way we thought about Ford, and it left a lasting impression on a small 6-year-old boy from Doncaster. Me. Over the years, there have been a couple of attempts to try and rekindle the GT40 magic. There was the GT70, which I bought. Here it is, look, doors open and everything. Fantastic. And then in 1995, there was the GT90. I actually drove this, and it was horrid. Had a top speed of 40, and it handled like it was in a cartoon. Ford realised that the only way forwards was to go backwards. This is the result. It looks almost identical to the old GT40, although because this one was built in America, it is bigger than the one built in Britain, longer, wider and taller, but still just as good looking. This car shows that the desolate and smashed city of Detroit, one of the most dangerous places on Earth, is not quite dead. It's still coughing up blood and guts. Don't think, however, that this is just some evolutionary throwback. Ford wanted it to be much more than a pretty face. They wanted it to handle like a Lotus Elise, sound like a Honda NSX, shock like a Lamborghini Diablo, and go like a Ferrari 360. Now on that last front, the speed thing, I think they may have overdone it. You see, it offers up 500 brake horsepower, and that's 100 more than you get from a 360. And you get twice the torque over twice the rev range. So with its top speed of 200 miles an hour, this thing once again will blow Ferrari into the middle of next week. Obviously, you don't get the sense that the engine was made by craftsmen using techniques passed from father to son over the generations, because, of course, it wasn't. Actually, the 5.4-litre supercharged V8 is lifted out of one of Ford's pickup trucks.
This, then, is a blue-collar car with a blue-collar punch. It's a working-class hero. Let's go hunting for aristocrats. Shout them to death.
Of course, Americans have never had a problem making stuff go fast in a straight line. The Space Shuttle, the Corvette, the Boeing 747, and so on.
But they have never, and I've checked this out with all the experts, they've never made a car that can go round corners properly. Until now.
The ride comfort's a bit shabby, but as far as handling and grip are concerned, it is epic. So it goes fast, handles well, looks astonishing, and we haven't even got to the second best thing about it yet.
The clutch is so light, even someone from a Lowry painting could press it. The steering's light, the gearbox is light, I've got air conditioning, I've got a stereo, I've got electric windows, I've got central locking, and yet none of the essence of the GT40 has been lost. Look at these doors, for instance. They still cut into the roof. And just like on the old car, you can see the engine through the back window. Mind you, not as well as if you open up the clamshell. Oh, look at that. Look at it. Makes me feel 6 years old all over again. In fact, I think I just wet myself.
Amazingly then, Ford seems to have done it. The GT does handle like a Lotus, it does shock like a Lambo, and it goes harder and faster than a Ferrari.
And now we get to the best thing about it. It's priced like a Ford.
Even though it'll only be built in tiny numbers, it's going to be less than £100,000. That's 8,000 less than the Ferrari and 17,000 less than the Lamborghini Gallardo.
I love this thing. I love it even more than I thought I was going to. Feel that power.
I love it mostly, though, because it takes you back to a time when Detroit was humming to the petrol-head rhythm of the Motown sound. A time when the Temptations provided the descant and the factories were on bass. A time when the street echoed to the sound of dancing and the roar of Last Chance heroes in their V8 muscle cars racing between the lights.
I've always wanted to do this.
Was that legal, sir?
Well, I don't know. The thing is when we said we were going to film in the middle of Detroit, which is kind of even more dangerous than Birmingham, we got 4 police patrol cars to follow us everywhere, and I did that charging off 120 miles an hour right through the city centre, got back expecting them to say, "Have you been smoking?" And they were just sitting in their patrol cars eating donuts. Couldn't give a damn.
Now, this is an original, which is really a British car.
Yeah.
That is an all-American supercar.
No.
That's not an all-American supercar.
No. You're absolutely right. They say this is an all-American car. It isn't. In fact, the steering comes from an Aston Martin Vanquish. The brakes are Italian. A couple of guys from Lotus did the suspension. The body's British. It's not American.
Yeah, but these
at
are
all.
Technicalities. We're talking about the nation that won the Battle of Britain.
Absolutely. Ben Affleck did that on his own.
And they rescued Europe from Sir Winston Hitler.
They did.
If I remember rightly.
What made it particularly good was when I was driving around Detroit in that thing, everyone you see, all 4 of them, they're, "Hey, nice Ferrari!" Every single one of them.
Now, just tell me, can I go and buy this from a Ford dealer in Britain?
Not this. This is an
Not
old
this,
one. This is
'cause
about
this is the old one.
£350,000. But you can walk into a dealer in Barnsley, Tomorrow, slap down your 90, 100,000 pounds, whatever it's going to cost, and you can buy one of those things.
Would you?
Yeah.
In Barnsley?
Yeah, I'd be even more fun. Actually, if I do decide to get one, and I'm sort of the whole thing, I will buy it from Barnsley. Whoever the dealer is in Barnsley, I'm on my way, probably.
Here's another new Ford. It's called the Visos, and look at this shape. Very cutting edge, and then the interior. Wow, and those dials, they're all spangly, clever, up-to-the-minute computer stuff. And there's no mirrors. Look, cameras instead. Ah, yeah. It's a very modern car, no doubt. But look a bit more closely. And look, there's these grills on the flank, and then the shape of this window. Now, you can't fool me. If Ford ever actually make this car for real, this is the new Capri, no doubt about it.
Tell you what, though, you know in the olden days when people actually had Capris, they always had the bonnet up on a Saturday tinkering around with the engine.
Fettling.
Exactly. Well, nowadays, people always fiddle around with computers.
Yeah.
So what this has got, which is amazing, well, if they ever get round to putting a bonnet in it, which they haven't at the moment, it'll have a... port thing. You put your laptop in it and you'll be able to adjust, like, the rev limiter and the suspension settings and everything.
But it goes further than that. It's very clever, because once you've got your laptop plugged in, you can then log on to the internet and you can actually download specifications and settings direct from Ford, and better than that even, you can then exchange data with your mates and their Visos.
So if you got one, I could set the rev limit at like 1,500 RPM. Have the headlamps flash every time we went above 10.
Not quite what they meant there, really.
Or even better, if you get stuck behind one on the road, what you could do is dial up its computer from your laptop, Bluetooth, mobile phone, speed him up a bit. 150, and then just apply one of the rear brakes.
Yeah, that's just stupid.